And we're live. And welcome to Maze CloudSpot. I'm giving you too much credit here, Oleg. Backblaze webinar featuring CloudSpot, and we're looking at building event-driven workflows in the open cloud. Now, before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded. So if you have to drop out for whatever reason, don't worry, we will email you a link to the recording as soon as it goes up, which will be, I think it's usually about an hour after we finished. Please do ask questions at any time. If you look over to the right, there is a little bar there. And one of those, I think it's the one with the question mark, appropriately enough, is the questions area where you can ask questions anytime you like. We will get to them at the end. So don't worry if you've asked a question and we haven't given you an answer, we'll cover them all at the end. And don't forget that there are attachments. If you click the little paperclip clip icon, there are slides and other resources. Okay, so let's get going. I am, as always, Pat Patterson, Chief Technical Evangelist here at Backblaze, and I am joined today by Ole Alenik. Ole, why don't you tell us about yourself and your very humble position at CloudSpot?
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Oleg, like Pat mentioned. I'm a senior software engineer and technical co-founder in CloudSpot. And yeah, that's about it. I can talk about CloudSpot, and I'm eager to start. So
Okay,
let's do it.
I must say it's rare that a co-founder has senior software engineer rather than some more grand chief vice president. You know, some more boastful title.
Sure.
Very
I went through those stages, and at this point, a senior software engineering, like getting into technology, suits well in our current position.
So you did the classic thing of hiring people that were smarter than you, and they're like the CTO and the VP of engineering and all of those roles.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah.
All right. So I could easily spend the rest of the 45 minutes just bantering about your position at CloudSpot, but this is what we are planning to cover. So a little bit of introduction about the two companies, and then Oleg is going to go through the CloudSpot story. CloudSpot has been a Backblaze customer for a few years now. They've got a great story of how they came to Backblaze and their success since. And we're focusing on the event notifications technology. CloudSpot, in fact, was one of the customers that requested the ability to fire notifications on events in Backblaze B2. And they've been kind enough to be one of the first previewers of the early versions. I'll give you a demo of how this works, and then we'll get to your questions and wrap up, and we should be done in about 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, I will spend very little time on this because I'm going to assume that most people on this webinar already know a little bit about Backblaze B2. It's S3 compatible cloud object storage. I'm not going to read the slide out. The key things there are that it being S3 compatible, virtually any off-the-shelf or custom application tool SDK that's designed for Amazon S3 can easily use Backblaze B2 with a little reconfiguration. And we come in at around 1/5 of the cost of Amazon S3. And importantly, one of the most important features of our pricing is that we do provide free egress up to 3 times the amount of data you're storing each month, and unlimited free egress to our partners, such as our CDN partners, Fastly and Cloudflare, for example. Okay, Oleg, tell us about CloudSpot.
Sure. Well, I definitely can start from what kind of software we build and what we propose for our users. But I would like to start from who we are and why we do that. And this story started back in 2013 when CEO of CloudSpot, Gavin, um, he worked as a professional photographer. He still is, but in a bit different capacity right now, a bit more to tackle today. So he worked as a professional photographer, and he found a couple of things which he spent a lot of time on, like filling in emails, sending files, processing that, like creating websites for displaying previews of images. And he started thinking that maybe he is not alone on that path, and things might be better. And this is when CloudSpot story started. And when we talk about CloudSpot, we think about how we can help and how we can be partner for any photographer of any experience with any field of expertise, how we can help them to go from starting point to their value. It can be anything. It can be first leads received, or it can be first gallery sent out, or first photo shoot created with their customers, or invoice sent to their customers and getting paid. And we want to be right next to our users and celebrate those achievements with them. At the same time, we want to help photographers to be more efficient in their path to build successful business and spend more time not on handling these tiny little things which take time and get that time back to their own hands and spend some time on life, life work balance,
Mhm.
some important things.
So kind of taking away that busy work so you can focus on taking pictures.
Well, you can think about it this way, but mostly spending time with family, spending time with close ones, and actually, put more time towards creative side of this profession, not just technicalities. And in order to do that, we have a lot of ways to support our users. Um, Recently, we released a studio, CloudSpot Studio, which provides capability for our users to handle their business, to create invoices, questionnaires, to handle contracts. And this is a big step. On another hand, we have very flexible system of managing online galleries. This is actual part where Backblaze involved the most, because originally CloudSpot was about images and still is, but we are expanding our capabilities. Yeah,
So
and yeah.
and it seems like it's squarely aimed at professional photographers rather than, if I want to share my holiday snaps with my family, CloudSpot might be. Is it the right tool for that, or is it really aimed at photographers making a living from their craft?
Well, yes, you can use CloudSpot. We have 3 plans. You can use CloudSpot for sharing your images, and you can use that for creating beautiful online galleries, sharing with your family, with friends, sharing your beautiful moments. And they're highly customizable, and you can present it in a better way, because one of the core values which we want to give our users is not just having a tool which will make job good and make it fast, but also that end clients will have great impressions, that everything you present will look professional and will look great and exciting and easy to use. And in this case, you might think, yeah, I can send photos to my friends and families through other means, like maybe Dropbox, or as a zip archive or something like that. But sometimes you want to get this little bit more, go extra mile to surprise them, that to tell them, hey, I really care about it. I love this image. I want to share this emotion with you, and this is my way of presenting that.
Very cool. So, as a whoops, before we go forward, as a representative Backblaze, I really like everybody listening to go out and create a CloudSpot account and upload as many photographs as you can. So, good. And we're getting onto the cost of storing data. Tell me where you started, Oleg, back in what the end of the 2010s. Back in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah, sure. So back then, CloudSpot started as desktop application, and I believe it started with Amazon, and it originally was like we started with that. I joined CloudSpot in 2014, almost 2 years maybe since start. And since then, we started looking into how we can optimize the platform. Originally, CloudSpot has been built using Adobe Air, and we transitioned. We started exploring on what kind of technologies we can implement in order to, first of all, benefit on that on our side, that we can be more efficient and deliver more value to end users, and finally, how we can provide more value to our users and support them better. And originally, we started moving from Adobe Air to Node-WebKit. It's combination, it's a mix of Node.js and WebKit engine, browser engine. It gave us great value, but also it created a couple of problems. Specifically, you cannot deliver updates very often, and the process is rather complicated than easy. You need to create new builds, you need to upload that, and you need to have in place great system for updating application and all that. But after a while, we figured out that this is really an issue for us, and we want to give value faster, and we want to be more proactive on any kind of feedback we get from our users. And we immigrated to web. And along this time, CloudSpot was using S3, Amazon S3 as main storage for images, and it was all about images. At that time, we didn't have any specific capabilities like scaling images on the fly. So, and no such services existed back then. So we worked the usual way. Every image uploaded to us has been scaled to, if I remember it correctly, 11 different sizes and stored on S3. So for every original image, you had 11 copies of that on different sizes. Plus, because we provide the capability of applying watermark on each image, so user can upload watermark and apply it to every image. We had to create more copies, so all those sizes, and again with watermark applied. Well, that had a couple of issues. Of course, that just bloats our storage, and we cannot update watermarks pretty often. So any images which were created or uploaded or processed with existing watermark can be reprocessed on the fly, so we cannot update it efficiently. So after some time, we started looking, first of all, into how we can improve that process, and we ended up with solutions like scaling images on the fly, which is very popular these days. We have a couple of solutions like Imagizer, ImageX, Cloudflare provides that, Fastly provides that. So all of them allow you to pull images from any kind of storage and scale them on the fly. But more importantly, we started looking into our bill for S3 and thinking, okay, we have another issue here. And yes, of course, having ability to scale images on the fly is great, and that removes all those copies from our bag. You know, we can drop all those copies from our storage, and this is big lift. But with time going, S3 build and user base growing, our S3 build started becoming a huge pain. Not only for storing images, but also getting images out because we are all about delivering images, and at that time we were all about delivering images, and getting images out from S3 is not cheap. Data transfer cost is something you need to consider when you think about storing something on S3. And yeah,
I was going to say, so can you remember like how you discovered Backblaze B2?
Well, actually not. That was a long research. We had a couple of options. I believe it's Wasabi, and we used them for a couple of months. But then it was Backblaze. I might be wrong on the timeline in this case, but then it was Backblaze. I'm not sure how we found you guys. We can ask Gavin about it.
I was just curious because I can't remember if it was in the case. Oh, by the way, this is all written up actually as a case study on our website. So there's a bit more depth on this story, but I can't remember whether it was covered. It's always interesting because sometimes people are just searching for more cost-effective S3 compatible cloud storage, and sometimes they've used Backblaze computer backup, just to back up their laptop, and they're kind of, oh yeah, that works well. Let's try B2. So you kind of did some analysis. You figured out, oh wow, we could save a ton of money migrating, but you already had hundreds of terabytes of data, and you took advantage of one of our partners, Flexify.io, to do this, right?
Yes, exactly. At that point, if I remember correctly, we had approximately 700 terabytes of data with S3, and moving that out would be a big hit on data transfer cost for us. And having data duplicate on both sides. So while we were migrating, we still had to keep it on the S3 side and still support B2. So we had to find a solution for that. And Flexify has been a great help on that. We had to do a bit of heavy lifting on that side because we still needed to adjust our system so we can source images which were already migrated to B2. We can source from there, and at the same time, anything which was still there on the S3 side, we can which still didn't exist on B2 side, we can source from Amazon. But Flexify did it
6 days.
Did it in 6 days. I don't remember any issues with that, which we ran on. The only thing we had to do is to run migration again after initial migration, so we can bring.
Those files that have built up during the process, you had to kind of bring across. And I guess people might be wondering, okay, why use Flexify? Why not just download it out of S3? And the answer is Flexify have, I forget the term for it now, but direct links into AWS. So Flexify can move the data within AWS to their bucket and then retrieve it out of AWS into B2 through that dedicated line at a much cheaper rate than, what is it now, 9 cents per gigabyte or something egress from AWS. It's crazy. So then you were able to actually reintroduce features that you'd had to cut. Free migration for photographers switching from other systems to CloudSpot just because it was more cost effective.
Yes, and not only that, with migration to Backblaze, we eliminated this factor of data transfer cost, especially when we are moving files around between different systems. So in our case, we are running inside of DigitalOcean. Our costs running inside of DigitalOcean, and DigitalOcean Backblaze have partnered, as far as I know. You can tell more about it, which is called Bandwidth Alliance. It's a alliance of big players in networking, where you guys agreed on eliminating this cost moving files around between your networks, right? So that is a huge contribution, a huge contributor into this ability of reintroducing specifically free migration for our users, because we can run files internally efficiently without incurring those data transfer costs.
And you were able to use the savings from what you were spending on S3 to actually hire more people.
Yeah, hire more people and expand our capabilities on compute side, so we can get more power into our system. Yeah, and the greatest achievement is that we don't need to think anymore about data transfer. This is major factor, because when you think about storage, you think that, okay, I have a couple of files stored, so that will cost me N, right? Then you don't think that, no, there might be something else. When you get those files out into public internet, public network, that will cost something. And most of the times, people don't realize that. And when they get bigger, if it's a business, it becomes a very big part of their spending.
And it's quite a hard aspect of the cost to predict. You can look at how your storage is growing, and oftentimes you're charging customers at some relation to that, but like the number of times they view their files and they share their files, and the platform can become a victim of its own success as people are sharing these images and sharing the albums, and you've got this cost, this almost like phantom cost that shows up on the bill.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's even it can be that yourself can create this kind of extra cost, because you need to be very careful how system is set up, and that you are not accessing public network, you are not running files through public network, and you are inside of internal systems. So if that happens, things can get wild pretty fast, because you have powerful networks, powerful machines, all those files, and they start moving around, and you are not realizing that for every moved file, you're actually getting billed.
Yeah, and 9 cents per gig adds up quickly on images. So I love talking to customers like you that have been with us for a few years, because I love these stats. So you migrated 700 terabytes to Backblaze back in, I think, 2019. Now you've got 2.5 petabytes, 600 million files, and I put here thousands of happy photographers, which is what it's all about, right? This is a means to an end. You've built a business for photographers, and been able to grow like this because migrating.
I think this is
sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think this is a core part, because you cannot be static. You can't use the same thing for a while and without any change and expect that things will go the same way as they were like 5 years ago, right? So you need to be flexible in terms of what you use and how you use tools. And Backblaze in this case is a great partner for us, because we are not only storing 2.5 petabytes of files with you guys, but also we see how you care in terms of stability, how you care in terms of performance, and how you care to bring in new value, specifically event notifications, a recent addition to Backblaze.
It's almost as though you knew what the next slide said, Oleg. So my turn. That was awesome. I love hearing customer stories and hearing how our customers have been able to grow and better serve their customers. So we're here to look at Backblaze B2 event notifications, and I'm seeing the time, but it's It's actually a very easy, simple feature to explain. It's very powerful, but quite simply, you can set up event notification rules for new or existing buckets. You can do that in our web UI, or there's an API to do so. And those rules, once they're defined, govern the notifications that we send when you upload files, delete them, create hide markers to hide them. And those events are simply sent as an HTTP post to what we call a webhook. So this is this on the right, this kind of cloud thing. So whenever an event happens that matches a rule, we just send an HTTP post with a JSON payload to a URL that you configure. And that's pretty much it. So we'll go to question. No, I'm kidding. We'll dive into a little bit more. So the kind of use cases that we see, and we'll get on, Ole will kind of tell us a little bit about how CloudSpot's planning to use event notifications. But classic use cases are things like inserting rows into a database as files are uploaded, so you can kind of track them within your own system. Transcoding video files. You know, any site that serves videos needs to transcode them into a standard format because they arrive in all kinds of resolutions and codecs and so on. Thumbnails for images, or well, the 10 other formats as well as a thumbnail that get created when you upload to CloudSpot. And you know, the great thing about this architecture, sending HTTP requests to a webhook, you could send messages to a Slack channel, you could trigger a GitHub Actions workflow run. You can, you know, use your imagination. A little bit of glue code in the middle might be required, but you can pretty much get anything working. Now, when you create a rule, and I'll go through this quickly because I'll actually show you in a minute in the demo, you just specify a rule name, one or more event types, so whether you want it to fire on creates, deletes, and hide markers, or any combination of those. You can specify that you're only concerned with files under a certain path, so maybe /images. You obviously specify that webhook target URL, so you have to have some service that's accessible across the internet. Optionally, you can set up a signing secret so that you can verify that on each time you receive a message to be sure that it came from Backblaze and was unchanged. And you can even add custom HTTP headers. If there's some platform you're using that needs maybe its own shared secret or some other kind of metadata as an HTTP header, it's really very straightforward. And this is a notification message. So just standard post to an endpoint there. There's nothing very exciting here. There's the signature there. That's just a SHA-256 HMAC of the content with the shared secret, and we'll look into that a little bit more, and a JSON payload. And really, you know, the kind of information you'd expect: the account ID, bucket name, etc. I'm not going to go down this column reading them because you can see, you know, everything about that event, including what, you know, in fact that this was an object was created via an upload. And diving into the header, like I said, we've got this signature, and then this is one of those custom headers. So I've put on this one, I've said, okay, the event source is Backblaze. That might be significant in a particular system. Maybe it's receiving webhooks from a number of sources. And then, yeah, as well as the event type, the event timestamp is very important for ordering events. Say if you're pasting them, inserting them into a database, and then obviously the object name there. So let's show you how this works. So I'm going to share my entire screen because I have no fear. And I'm going to go do the infinite thing for a moment there, and then just drag this. And okay, so I am in the web UI, and I am going to go down to my test buckets. And in here, okay, here's one bucket that has no notification rules. So let's create one. So I'm just going to call it my demo. And here I am interested in object created events. And let's say I'm really only interested in every time an object gets created. And I could add more, but here I'm just interested in event creates. Like I said, I could say images here, but I want everything that goes into this bucket. And now I need my target URL. Well, for this demo, I'm using a very handy site called webhook.site. And what this does is it gives me a URL that I can, if I click the right place, that I can copy, and it's going to display anything that gets sent to that URL. So this is really handy. It's free to use in this kind of mode. And all I need to do is paste that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and generate a signing secret just so that we can see that signature. And I'm going to say expat and call that metadata. So I can test that rule, hit test there. And what that's done is that's sent the event all the way through our infrastructure as if it was a regular event happening in B2, but it comes through as a test event. So this lets you just figure, just verify that you've got that URL correct, and you can see the signature there, and you can see the custom header there. So this gives you some confidence that things are actually working before you go ahead and save that rule. Now I can come out of there and go into upload download here. And let's drag in some files. So just for the purposes of demo, I'm going to order these by small size, and I'm just going to drag in, say, just a couple of files for now. There. So those have been uploaded into B2. There they are. And then if I go over here, oh, wow, there's one of them there already. So if I go to that one, there's that 1 byte file, object size 1, and my 0 byte file with object size 0. Great files for using for demos because they don't take long to upload. But you can see here that everything you need to know about this file is present. And like I said, the signature and the custom header there. So that's great. And so let's actually look at a more complicated use case. I'm just going to show you the slide here rather than zipping in and out of sharing my screen because that takes time. So what I've done here is I've already created a rule, and I have deployed a Python AWS Lambda function. Now, what this does is it uses the secrets manager to get that signing secret, to verify that signature, and also to get database credentials to insert a row for every event into Amazon RDS, so a Postgres instance running on Amazon. And before I get it running, so here's my Lambda. So it's got a publicly accessible URL, and my secrets manager has got my signing secret and credentials. And then I've lost RDS somehow because I was messing about with security groups. Here's my Amazon RDS database instance. And I've also got pgadmin here so I can have a look. So I'm writing into this events table, and I've got no data there right now. So if we go to my my other bucket, and that's the one. So here's one I created earlier. So you'll see here that I've got all the event types, object created, object deleted, hide marker created. Hide marker, in case you're wondering, is we have versioning. So by default, if you delete a file, you actually hide it. So there's a hide marker there showing that the file is hidden. So you can undelete it later. But there's my webhook URL with my Lambda function, my signing secret, and I've said event source is Backblaze. So rather than mess about testing it, I'm going to come out and, whoops, where's it gone? There. I'm going to drag some files in. So if I go there, and I will show you the source for this in a moment or two. Oh, what the heck did I do there? I missed the drop target. There we go. All right. So we've got the files going there, and actually I have a terminal here, and what should happen, oh, some old stuff there, what should happen any second is that we should see the log output. There it is. We should see the log output from the Lambda function. So here you can see it's dumping the entire event that it's getting from AWS. So that's the event we're sending plus some metadata from AWS itself. It's found that the signature is good. It's got a connection to Postgres. It's inserted a row into the database. And now if we go and select star, we should find that we have 4 rows in the database there with all the metadata we need with those 4 files that have been uploaded. So very, very straightforward. In building this, it actually took. I was bantering with Oleg before the session. It took longer. It took much longer to get the policies, security groups, and permissions for all of these components to talk to each other inside AWS than it took to write the code. I think it took me less than an hour to write this, and then about 5 hours to get everything right for this stuff to talk to each other. So let's have a little look at the code. So validating the message signature, it's very straightforward. We get that header, we split it on equals into the version and the signature, and then we just calculate an HMAC. So the key is the signing secret, that shared signing secret. The content is literally just the body of the event, and it's SHA-256. So we calculate that signature and compare the two. So really very straightforward, and this gives you the assurance that this message came from the Backblaze service. You had to have that signing secret to create it, and it's not been changed in transit. And then this is specific to AWS Lambda, but we pull the event body out of the Lambda event and JSON decode it, and then all we need to do is access this body event 0, and we can say, okay, if this is a test event, then we don't want to write it to the database. And the only real bit of work we have to do here is convert the timestamp in the B2 event, which is in milliseconds since 1970, into a date time object, because that is what we can then insert into the database. So we're just inserting all of these values from the event into the database with the timestamp there. So really, really very straightforward. And a little handy hint here. The primary key here is the object key, the file name, plus the object version ID and the event type. So that can never be repeated. So you can, create image.png 5 times, but each of them will have a different object version ID. So that lets you handle any duplicates when we do at least once delivery. Okay. So, Oleg, you've got some work in mind for for event notifications, right? You're still using some Amazon SQS.
Yeah, so our original plan didn't include completely getting off CQS, but now when we see the power of web-based notifications, we might consider it. And to explain that, our upload process is complex enough because at some point we decided that originally we accepted all files through our backend. And our backend accepting connections and uploading files to the storage to S3. And at some point, we moved that through a pre-signed form, pre-signed post request towards client side, usual practice nowadays. And in order to know when we have new files and when we need to start post-processing them, for example, extracting metadata, we need to somehow know about it, right? And in our upload process, we have 3 stages, like initiating upload, asking Backblaze where we need to upload, then uploading actual bytes to Backblaze, and finally notifying our backend that, hey, this file has been uploaded, because we didn't have event notifications and we needed to know that we needed to tell our backend that we can start doing something or expect file being there. So when we submit the confirmation, when we send the confirmation request about upload, we submit a message to SQS, and this is exactly where we can inject event notifications from Backblaze into our workflow. So instead of sending that confirmation request from client, we can expect that Backblaze, as soon as they confirm that everything is great and we have that file, Backblaze will send that notification to our backend, and we can utilize our internal queues, which are much faster, and start processing immediately. At the same time, that will simplify upload process, reducing one more step for each file, and that will actually speed things up, because we will not spend time on round trip for request. Even though it is simple request, we will not spend time on round trip, and when people uploading thousands of files, it adds up.
Every round trip, every line of code you can remove is a bonus.
Of course, I'm no as a big fan of removing things. That's for sure.
And you can stop paying AWS for SQS.
Yes, it's not that big bill, but still, it is something we need to take care of. So yes, that will be a great little bonus on our side.
Nice, excellent.
Yeah,
great. So go on.
Yeah, at the same time, we have a couple of other things which we can include into this process, like housekeeping tasks or object tracking, which can be implemented in a more efficient way, instead of having something on our side where we will be keeping references of all the files and how often they use for different use cases, for example, as a part of a gallery or as a part of an order from the store. We will be capable of listening for those events from Backblaze and knowing that, okay, a duplicate has been created or a file has been removed. So we can track that and preserve the data in database, like you just showed in your demo. We can update database records indicating that file doesn't exist anymore or file has been cloned.
So you can have an ongoing view of reality rather than periodically having to list objects and, a big, costly, slow API call to figure out the current state.
Exactly. And it is usually a good idea to have perspective on where files went, kind of keep log of what kind of actions has been executed on a specific file, because on our side, it is a topmost priority of keeping files safe for end users, and knowing what happened is essential.
Awesome. Okay, so we're time to wrap up. And so I would say key points to remember. CloudSpot is your all-in-one solution for photographers to build a thriving business. Backblaze B2, I never tire of saying this, astonishingly easy, low cost, S3 compatible storage. And yeah, event notifications, it'll allow you to build automated workflows that span the cloud platforms that you use. It's not, welded into Amazon, AWS, anywhere with a URL. And I should mention that, event notifications is now in entering a private preview. And if you would like to participate, then actually the bottom resource here, the event notifications blog post, or even if you were just to Google Backblaze event notifications, it'd probably come up with this. That's the place to look. It's got a little bit more description, and it's got the sign up link if you want to give event notifications a whirl. So with that, I don't need to read out URLs. What I do need to do is go take a quick look at the questions. So let's have a look. So Michael asks, any issues with many objects being uploaded in a small time frame, leading to many event notifications being sent to the webhook endpoint in a short period? Could this look like DDoS to the webhook endpoint? Well, that depends on your webhook endpoint. Currently, we are doing one HTTP request per event. But if you noticed, I can't do this without actually going back and showing you in the slides here. If you noticed when I showed you the where's that JSON payload here? Here. If you notice that it's actually a single element array. So at some point, like right now in preview, it's like one notification per request, but at some point we're looking at actually having multiple events in that array, and that will make the that traffic much easier to deal with. So you might have, I don't know, pick a number out of the air, a payload of 1,000 events here, which is still a trivially small HTTP post, and much easier to deal with than 1,000 HTTP requests. So great question. Let's have a look. Good question for you, Oleg. I noticed CloudSpot offers a free plan. Does Backblaze contribute to being able to sustain a free offering? I think I know the answer here.
Definitely yes. Of course, we are able not only provide free plans but also provide better free plans for compared to competitors. We're not saying that we are best, but with help of Backblaze, we can be competitive in this field, allowing people to extend their trial or try to upload bigger collections into our system.
Awesome. A couple of great questions from Stephen here. Are there also events for failures in long-running upload processes for large files or partial uploads? Not at present, but that's a really great idea. I mean, I'm not saying engineering haven't thought of that. I hadn't. And yeah, I will go and ping our product manager and say, hey, this came from the webinar. Okay, time for one more. How do you handle notifications back to the web client after some processing of the files has been done, e.g. using WebSockets or long polling? So at present, this is really down to you and your application. Your backend would receive that webhook request, and it would have the connection back to the client. Maybe, yeah, down the line, we're running out of time, but I could jump back to the slide and show you in the config page for the event notification. there was a little field where it said webhook, with the hint that it might say other things in the future. So yeah, WebSockets is an interesting one because you don't have to have an addressable endpoint.
On our side, I can put that example really quick. On our side, we utilize server-sent events in order to notify client back that processing has been complete. We're not using WebSockets because in our case, we do not have requirements of two-way communication between client and server. So server-sent events, they're super simple. They're supported by all browsers, I think down to Internet Explorer 8. And that worked pretty well for us.
Awesome. So with that, I need to thank you, Ole, for sharing the CloudSpot story and your experience in this in building, a SaaS platform for professional photographers, and thank you for being a great Backblaze customer.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting.
And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us and for listening. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again in the future with another Backblaze webinar. Bye-bye.